is we should zoom in properly. Yeah, exactly. So now we just have to tune that speed. So what this speed should be like 2. It should be something real small. Because basically this is going to be 1 second is going to be how fast we can actually move, and it's going to be in screen units. So it's going to be, this can move 2 screens per second. So we might actually want to set it to 1. Yeah, even that's like really fast. Yeah, and that's looking a lot more like what I want. That's cool. I have done absolutely no work on his movement. That's all camera. That's all camera work that makes the movement look different. That's just how important camera work is in platformers. Oh, he's moving too fast to do that. You have to really slow down. Like if I hit that wall at a normal speed here, it's totally impossible. Alright, so now the question is, let's just make sure I can reset all these things to default. We get it all properly done. Call to calculate the offset speed. Yeah, and I was also going to look into Fancy Pants to see how they did their acceleration for their character and stuff like that. Because I don't think there's a game that's more like it. More like what we want. I mean, if you wanted to get somebody to program this game, I mean, you probably would want exactly that guy. What, Brian Bradborn or whatever his name is. Ah, shit. Fucking hell. Oh, shit. This is flashbacks to Super Metroid. Trying to land on shit. Trying to wall jump, but having it be a complete pain in the ass. Learn to play? Yeah, I see how it is. Get good, scrub. Is that your message? You're gonna get banned for that sort of trash talk, sir. And it feels like it's not responsive enough with the delay there. So the offset delay should be like 0.5. I'll try that. Yeah, he's super slidey, but the acceleration in that game is more what I was thinking about. Because right now we just have like a linear acceleration curve for Bitey, which probably is not what needs to happen. He needs to accelerate more like a car. And you can already tell, like with this camera, I'm having more trouble just by changing that offset from 0.5 from 1 to 0.5. I'm actually not making the jumps. And that's kind of what the camera does. Making the camera more responsive makes me suck more at platforming because the camera is changing a lot more quickly on me. I mean, the other thing we could change is basically putting the offset to 0 and changing the acceleration. Wait a minute. The offset delay is 0. Why is... It's not working right. There's something wrong with this code. The offset speed is too low. So that's maximum speed right there. It should be higher. Alright. Alright, that's looking better. Now let's try changing a few other things. Let's try changing how far we move the screen. Just a little bit of distance. It seems to be alright. And the reason I'm doing these platforming things is because I'm basically just trying to see if I can platform properly, and if the camera is kind of working for me or if it's working against me. Like if I'm trying to land on something, the camera like just turns a little bit and then I can't see what the fuck I'm doing, then that's a problem. Because that's what people do, you know, when they're actually playing the game, is they'll be jumping up and down, and if you know, there's precision elements where you're like, fuck, I don't want the camera to be moving all over the place when I'm doing that. I want it to remain more constant and kind of. If it works for me, it should work for everyone else, right? That's kind of how things are. Yeah, so the zooming in kind of sucks. It looks like it's a little too close for real precision platforming. Because I can't see the ground. Gosh. That log is fucking slippy because it has a slope on it. Alright, yeah, this is feeling a lot better. Yeah, it's not panning with every little jump. As far as I feel, I don't feel it's panning like I don't want it to. That jumping animation is just so ridiculous. The one thing that it definitely doesn't look like we need is we probably don't need a whole bunch of transition animations if Bitey's going to have as many states as he does. You know, we're not going to need like a walk to run transition. It actually looks pretty decent without one of those. Oh, you think he should jump higher into the screen? Well, I mean, I can just drop down the... I can drop down the global camera speed real quick. It would look more like that. Does it at least look right with this, or should... Because basically, it's kind of like maybe there's a bounding box in the z-axis, the up and down axis, where if you're within it, the camera just doesn't care. Well, what you're asking is not as simple as just like, don't move the camera up and down. Like, how do you know when he's... Like, you know, like, that doesn't really make sense in math and computer terms, right? Like, don't move the camera at all when he jumps. That's not really what you're saying, I think. Because if you went up, like, a flight of stairs or something, you know, like, the camera needs to follow you up. I mean, it just does, right? So the camera needs to do something else than just not move in the z-axis. It's more that it needs to... That's what I was saying, is like if there's a bounding box in the world, right, where it's kind of like this. So if Bitey is in this box and, you know, and he like jumps, the camera doesn't move because it's like, well, you're close enough inside of the box, but as soon as you hit like the top of the box, then the camera makes sure to move so that you're inside of it. And we can do that for like just the vertical axis. And then it would, we'd have to have some logic there though, where it'll catch up to the right spot. So it's like a vertical box, and then we want like a catch-up speed there to try to position him in the bottom of the box. Thing is, it can come across as super damn floaty though, because he doesn't actually have that much real estate to work with. Well, basically what you're doing there is, you know, the box doesn't have to look like this, right? The box can look like this, right? So if Bitey was, you know, moving down super quick, you know, you're always gonna be able to see everything in that portion of the screen below him. So it's just that it's like the min and max camera catch-up stuff there. The question is exactly how the fuck to implement that. We're gonna implement that part after we finish off the other bit. Yeah, I was looking at the Fancy Pants camera work, and when you're falling, they really don't have a whole hell of a lot. Like, the camera does not pan down like worth anything. And there's a lot more stuff that they've got in there and has to do with they obviously have some geometry where the camera can and cannot go in the level. So like if you run up against a wall, it won't move the camera any farther than to see the edge of the wall. I don't like the hard stop at the end of it. We might want something a little bit different for that. Like, it should ease into, like, we need to have like a curve based on the distance, which dictates how fast the camera moves. So I'm going to add a camera direction, offset, fall off distance. It's going to be a linear from 0 to 1. An S-curve? Yeah, that probably means something specifically to you, but for an S, I think it goes up and down, right? That's... And the thing is, like, we can't use curves for all this stuff because, you know, a lot of the other things are moving at the same time, so we don't always know which distance we're trying to hit, so we don't know when a start and an end time is, so we can't, like, actually use a real curve. We have to use kind of something that would then figure out where we are, because we don't know our start, we don't know our end, and both points change every frame. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, sine curve, you know, you want to get the effect of the sine curve, but you're not actually using a sine curve, because to use a sine, you have to have a start and an end. And if you're calculating the start and the end every frame, you're not taking into account the frame history. So you'd have to, like, keep the frame history of, like, what it was and smooth between that, which is what this acceleration is there to do for us. So all we really have to do is add a fall off, probably. So this needs to be the difference divided by the actual distance. So we actually, the bigger number is it's going to be 1.0f minus diff divided by this. So we'll start at 1, and it'll then go to 0 based on so this is going to start at 0, and then it's going to go to 1 based on that number as it gets closer. Yeah, I just don't think a lot of those techniques work when you're basically trying to approximate what those curves do with other things, because you don't have, you know, start and end position, you don't have history, and keeping track of all that history data sometimes isn't is not as easy as you'd think, because motion is like, well, you ran into a wall, but your velocity is still positive. What are we supposed to do with that then? How does that change the start and the end position for the easing of the camera? All these other things. Yeah, so that looks a lot better, I think. So I should probably also be applying that to the other chunks. Ortho width, fall off, distance. This is the distance at which we stop. We start easing into our destination. It should be something like 500, perhaps, to start with. So we'll see if this does what we want it to do. And the reason we're not seeing the same hard stop is because the zoom speed is actually a lot lower relative to how far it's traveling. So I can exaggerate it, and then we'll see does the ease actually do what the hell it's supposed to. And we could do an exponential ease as well, just by basically multiplying this by itself, because it's less than 1. So if we multiplied it by itself, it would be it would be a non-linear ease. It would be an exponential fall off. But I was going to try a linear one first, because linear ones sometimes look better. Because when you start really throwing exponential speeds on cameras and other stuff, it can get a little bit motion sick. Well, that's obviously not what we want happening. Yeah, it's just an absolute value thing. It went negative, so instead of adding, instead of being from 0 to 1, it was a lot bigger than 1. Looks good to me. Alright. So the next thing we want to look at is the camera lead. Which what we're going to do is we're going to turn off all the rest of it and we're going to make it work on its own. And it needs like all the same treatments. It needs the start, it needs the ease in, needs the whole damn thing. Do you think we actually need the velocity lead in there for the camera, or do you think the zooming is enough? This is not turned everything off. And I don't think you mean what you mean by what you said. By push further ahead, it's lead, move the camera ahead, and like how it looks now, you probably mean likes before the change, not like after the change, after enabling it. So the answer would be perhaps we don't need to lead the character by its velocity in the z-axis or in the y-axis. So ortho width fall off distance, we need, the fuck am I looking at? So the ortho width needs to not change based on this, so it's the camera width. Yeah, so basically if it doesn't equal null pointer, if m camera data use dynamic camera zoom is false, then camera width equals default. Yeah, what I activated earlier, like what we have right now is a very naive, it moves the camera in front of what it's following based on how fast it's going. So this was only activated just recently. I just turned that on like that. And what you were seeing before was not actually leading the character, it was zooming out the screen. There was no leading of the character. So this is actually moving the camera forward based on the speed and all that. Which I think we do need. We'll probably want all of the above, so I think it's necessary. But as you can see, it's really annoying to lead by the velocity when, like untuned and all that, because you do anything to your velocity and all of a sudden the camera moves and it's just like, Jesus Christ, versus the other stuff, which was like, zoom out, which zoom out doesn't change nearly as much as moving the camera does. So we're going to use the same basic things. We're going to need a delay, camera lead, offset delay, camera lead, offset acceleration, camera lead, offset follow distance. And again, this thing needs to be in screen coordinates instead of absolute coordinates. Is that true? Should it be in screen coordinates? Yeah, it probably should be in screen coordinates. It already is. Okay, that's good. Camera lead speed is not, though. We're not actually even using camera lead speed. It's all sorts of jacked up. magnitude times this. The min is this, the max is that. The distance. Camera lead velocity ratio is where is our magnitude even used here? Magnitude was here. Yeah, it needs to be this max, and it's going to be magnitude multiplied by this. Camera lead velocity ratio. Well, this is an interesting idea. Should the lead be based off of your speed? Absolutely, or your speed relative to the size of the window. So if we made this, we basically divided the velocity ratio by the current camera width, that would mean that if your speed was such that you covered the entire distance, the entire width of the camera in 1 second, then it's not the camera velocity ratio. We need to divide the magnitude by the current camera width, and that'll normalize the magnitude of the vector towards so it would take like a 6,000 and make it a 1. So that's probably easier to deal with in Toon than something else, like having it in camera screen space for the magnitude. So basically it'd be like, this is the percent of window size per. So if we were going 1, then we want to lead by 0.2. Maybe we need 0.5, so if you're going the length of the screen, yeah, I guess maybe 0.2 is actually a good number for this. Makes sense. Alright, so compute final position, offset direction. If lead, the offset for the lead actually needs to be multiplied. like so. Whoa, what the hell is that? Speed is 50,000? Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, okay. Alright, so this lead should be, well, doing nothing, I guess. Shit. Let's take a look at our output window. The camera lead offset is 0.005. So what is our... God, give me my mouse back. Okay, so our magnitude is going to be a certain value.